Hi everybody, I'm Jeff. This is a long play video of DVMO, Deep Void Mining Operations. You can play this early version of the game live in your browser right now. Just check the description for a link and you can load up the game and play it in your browser. This is version 0.11.2. The game is still in beta, the graphics are still pretty basic, but the gameplay is shaping up. So I wanted to give you a preview of what's changed since the last video. So let's start a game here. We've got our starting scenario here. In the top left you've got the money, the number of miners you have, the number of scanning ships you have, which is a new ship. Right now I have 0 of those. How many haulers you have, how many tugs, and how many depots. So I'll explain this in case you didn't see the previous video. I'll explain how this all works. Over here in the top right, you've got a sound effects toggle. Turn off the sound effects if you don't want to hear them. Same thing with the music. And in the far upper right corner, you've got the game clock. This just tells you how long you've been playing, which when you reach the end of the game will also tell you, it's part of your score. It tells you how many points you've earned on your score per minute. But there's no rush to this game. It's intentionally designed to be kind of a chill-out game. You can try to play fast if you want, but you can also just play it, nice and relaxed. It's no big deal. So this is a space mining simulation, asteroid simulation, or asteroid miner, that is. This small ship here is a miner. Its job is to fly over to asteroids, mine some ore, and take it back to this square here, which is the depot. The ship behind it, this big long one, this is called a hauler. And the job of the hauler is to take ore that's stored in the depot, load it onto the hauler, and then take the ore to the market to sell it for money. You can add a number of ships here. The most basic one is a miner and a hauler. You always have at least one of each of those. You can't sell your last one. There's a scanning ship, which will help you determine the mineral content of an asteroid. And what that lets you do is, if you can figure out if an asteroid is either a rocky asteroid, a metallic asteroid, or an asteroid containing rare materials, you can earn more money by mining the higher value asteroids. So, a couple of things that have changed since the last video. When you click on a ship, you'll see it in blue here. Change the color scheme around a little bit. When a ship is selected, you can see its current task. Right now I have the hauler highlighted, and its current task is loading cargo from the depot. You can see how much tonnage it's holding total, which is 13 tons, and how much of that is rock, metal, and rare minerals. When this hauler reaches 15 tons, it will be full, and it will go to the market, sell those 15 tons of ore, and I'll make a little bit of money. Let's switch over to the miner here. Similar display here. We've got the current task. It's traveling from the asteroid to the depot. Now it's loading cargo into the depot. Now it's traveling back to the asteroid. You also get its target, which tells you where it's on the way to, or where it's docked right now, as well as the tonnage breakdown. So right now, miners only can hold 1 ton of ore, so every time it mines a ton of ore, it has to go to the depot. You'll see I made a little bit of money here. So I had 500 credits before, now I have 650. So I mentioned that haulers can hold 15 tons, and I made it up 150 credits, so I get basically 10 credits for every ton of rock that I take to the market. So let's make this a little bit more interesting. I'm going to show you the new ship, the scanner. What a scanner does is it flies around, looks for any asteroids whose contents have not yet been analyzed, and it scans those over several seconds, and then that way your miners can get the benefit of mining the more valuable stuff. So whenever you add a ship, you first have to select the depot you want it to be associated with, and then you click the button to add it. So I'm going to add a scanner. It's going to show up here, and I'm going to click on the scanner here, and its current task is traveling, and it's targeting an asteroid, so it's going to head toward this asteroid here. Because it's already so close to the asteroid, it's kind of creeping nice and slow. If it had to travel further, it would accelerate to a higher speed and get there a little bit quicker. Now you'll see the task for the scanner changed from traveling to scanning. I think the current time is about 7 seconds to scan an asteroid, so it takes a little while. And you'll now notice that this asteroid lit up and the scanner's headed over there now. So if I click on this asteroid that's not yet scanned, you'll see a couple of things. I'll explain captured in a little while, but tonnage is nothing but question marks. That's because this asteroid has not yet been scanned. And now it has. So now we can see that this is an asteroid that's just pure rock. There's nothing else in it. So you're going to get the lowest price for mining this particular asteroid. You may also notice if I zoom out here, most of the asteroids are gray. Maybe a little darker, a little lighter gray. But they're basically gray. So the gray asteroids are ones that have not been scanned. Asteroids that are like a slightly reddish color, those are rocky asteroids that have been scanned. And as the scanner makes its rounds to the different asteroids, you'll see that some of them will turn either purple, just like this one, which will indicate a metallic asteroid, or a kind of goldish color, which will indicate that the asteroid contains some rare materials as well. So if I click on this purple asteroid, you'll see it's mostly rock. It's got a little metal, and it doesn't have any rare minerals at all. So if I click on our hauler, we'll see that so far it's just loaded with 15 tons of rock. Because so far we've only been mining either unscanned asteroids or asteroids that only contain rock. Right now the miner is going back and forth between this asteroid because this is the asteroid that's closest to the depot, so it's going to keep going there until another asteroid, until this asteroid is gone. So we have a little bit of money. We've got this scanner making the rounds, scanning different asteroids as it goes. We've got 3 metallic asteroids now that we can mine from. That's great. But right now this is pretty slow going, so I'm going to select my depot, and I have enough money that I'm going to add, I think, 3 miners. Now I'm going to start mining some of these metallic asteroids. And if I click on the miner that just came from the metallic asteroid, you'll see that it has still mined 1 ton of ore total, but that part of the ore is metallic and part of it is rock. Now that miner flew over to a different asteroid, so it's not mining the metallic one anymore, which is a bummer. This asteroid is about to disappear. So let's wait for these miners to get rid of these 2 rocky asteroids that are closest. And once that happens, some of the miners will start going to these metallic asteroids, and you'll see the difference here. Now if I take a look at the hauler, you'll see that it's got a little bit of rock, a little bit of metal, and now it's full. It's got 15 tons, it's got a little bit of metal, and when it goes to market, I would normally get 150 credits for taking 15 tons to the market. But since it contains just a little bit of metal, I might make an extra credit or 2. It doesn't have very high metal content, so it might not make that much. Go to our depot now, and more of our miners are starting to mine metallic asteroids, so you're starting to see this metal content, this amount of metal that's at the depot is going up. So on the hauler's next trip we should make a little extra money as well. You can see here when we got our money from the market, we made an extra credit because of that extra little bit of metal. And I'm still tweaking these numbers, trying to decide how much money should I make for metallic versus rock versus rare asteroids. And this is still very much a work in progress, so it just gives you an idea of how it works. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Our scanner's making pretty good progress. What it does is it scans the nearest asteroid to the depot. The nearest asteroid that has not yet been scanned to the depot that it is assigned. Oh, look at this. This is a rare asteroid. So it's got mostly rock, just like the metal ones, and a little bit of rare material. So when the miners start to make their way to this asteroid, I'll start making even more money every time a miner brings some ore from that asteroid. So I'm going to mute the microphone here for just a little bit and just let these guys go. What I'm waiting for right now is to save up enough money to get a tug, which is a ship that will fly out, capture an asteroid, and bring it closer to the depot so that the miners don't have to travel quite as far. But in order to buy a tug, I need 850 credits to buy that, and I can tell if I select the depot and try to buy a tug, it'll say I don't have enough money and that I need 850 credits. So let's just sit back and watch the ships do their thing for a little while. I'm going to mute the microphone and just let you kind of enjoy the sounds of the game. So while I'm waiting to get up to 850 credits, I noticed that between the time that the hauler went to the market and came back, the miners had already built up about 12 tons of ore, which is almost a full load for a hauler. There's an interesting kind of equilibrium that you reach with this game where as you play, you kind of figure out, you know, how many miners it takes to keep a hauler busy. And I've noticed, at least with the settings that I have right now, that a 1 to 4 ratio is about right. So 1 hauler to 4 miners. Another thing I wanted to point out is that we've got multiple miners working at this depot, taking ore to and from the depot. But you'll notice that they take turns. This is a new feature I added since the last time I did a video. And this was to prevent a playstyle where you just buy a bunch of miners and they all crowd into the depot. I want to encourage players to expand their base and add more depots and add more ships. And by limiting the number of ships that can be docked with a depot at any one time, that kind of changes the pacing of the game a little bit. So if I were to add... Well, I'm going to wait until I reach 850, because I think I'm about to make that money so I can get the tug. But then after that, I'll add a couple more miners, and you'll be able to see more clearly what I'm talking about. You'll be able to see the sort of backup the line that forms if there's too many miners for a single depot. So my money's coming in now. Should be able to buy a tug now. Another thing I added since the last video I did is that when you have a depot selected, it tells you the number of ships and of each type that are assigned to that depot. So right now I can see that I have 4 miners assigned to this depot, 1 scanner, 1 tug, and 1 hauler. That's pretty useful, just so that you know what those ratios are that I was talking about, like how many miners to haulers. And this whole display on the right hand side is new. It gives you a little bit more information on what's going on. This label here, dockers, it's just a term I'm using right now to describe the number of ships that are currently queued up to dock or somehow are targeting or heading toward the depot. So you notice it goes up and down. Right now it's 2, 3, 2. It went down to 2 when the hauler got full and changed its target from the depot to the market. So now it's going to fluctuate between probably 1 and 3. And now the hauler just went to the market. I'm going to make a little bit more money. I'm going to add another miner to this depot, and you'll see that the miners will go up to 5. And you'll start to see that this depot will appear a little bit crowded. You'll see that the miners will be spending more time queuing up and not really able to deposit the ore in the depot because there's too many miners associated with this depot. So here you can see that miner waited for its turn. Now this one's going to have to wait for its turn, along with this one. This one's waiting quite a while. Sometimes the timing works out that the ships don't have to wait too long. But sometimes you have 2 or more ships kind of backed up, ready to go. You'll also notice that the hauler had no problem. It didn't have to wait to dock. And that's because the depots control the number of ships per type that can dock with the depot at any one time. And the way that this really basic small depot is set up is that you can have a maximum of 1 miner and 1 hauler at the same time, but you can't have more than 1 hauler or more than 1 miner docked at the depot at any one time. So my hauler went to market. I now have over 150 credits, which is how much a miner costs. So I'm going to buy another miner. Again, just to kind of show you what the backup looks like when you start to overload the depot. And it's actually okay. You'll notice my count updated here, the number of miners I've associated with this depot. It's actually okay to overload a depot a little bit, because we can always buy more depots, and then we can select a couple of these miners and reassign them to the new depot, which I'll show you in a little while. Let's check in on our other ships. Here's our tug, just dutifully going around and looking for nearby asteroids that are a little bit far away from the depot and bringing them closer. What this does is it maintains a somewhat consistent distance that the miners have to travel from the depot to an asteroid. And the reason that's important is because the further that miners have to travel, the less efficient they are. The more time they spend traveling and the less time they spend mining as a percentage of their total work. This rare asteroid that was identified a while ago, it's a little too far. It's further away from the depot than these other asteroids, which is why the miners aren't working on it. So what I would like is for the tug to bring this asteroid in closer so that the miners would start to prefer it because it's closer. I can also have the tug preferentially choose these metallic asteroids and bring those in, since those are worth a little bit more money as well. So as soon as the tug has brought in the asteroid that it's working on right now, I have the tug selected here. I'm going to right-click on this yellow asteroid There we go. It says ship reassigned to asteroid. So now this tug, I basically overrode the automation that the tug has of choosing its own asteroids, and I asked it to specifically select this asteroid and bring it in closer. As soon as the tug has brought this asteroid over, I can do the same thing with these two metallic asteroids, and then this asteroid over here. I might at some future time update or change the automation for the tug so that it will preferentially bring more valuable asteroids in automatically. But I haven't tackled that or really thought too much about that. The hauler's been to the market a couple of times. You can see the number of miners assigned to this depot is 6. You can see that one of our miners has started to go over to this rare asteroid, which is great. So it's got some rare material content, which will be more valuable. But you can also see, because I've got 6 miners assigned to this depot, you can see the backup is starting to get a little more noticeable. So the thing I'm waiting to do next as my primary task is build another depot, because I've got more miners than I could really use right now at this one depot, and so it would make more sense to buy a second depot and then reassign some of these miners over to that depot. But depots cost, I think, 1,200 credits, so it's going to be a little while until I have that money. So in the meantime, I'm going to check in on what the scanner is doing. The scanner is this semi-transparent sort of array of antennas thing. This is a quick and dirty scanning ship sprite that, you know, looks fine, but it's a little bit hard to tell which direction it's facing unless it's actually busy moving. But this is what the scanner looks like. If you select this, like any other ship, you can see the current task and the type of target it's heading toward. Right now it's scanning this asteroid. Just to remind you how this works, we select that. The tonnage, the contents of the asteroid went from all question marks to some known quantities. Let's watch another one. The scanner's heading over to this asteroid now. You can see all the tonnage values are question marks. Miners can mine asteroids that are unknown, but the only thing that miners are able to get out of unknown asteroids is rock, which is the lowest value material. A little note about how the scanner works. So if I zoom out, the depot is here in the center, and you notice that there's sort of a ring or a circle of asteroids that have some color. And then beyond that, if I really zoom out, you see a lot more gray asteroids. The gray asteroids are the unscanned asteroids. These like slightly reddish ones, or anything that's not just flat gray, is an asteroid that's been scanned. I should probably make this color a little more distinctive, because I'm not sure everyone would be able to tell easily that this is slightly reddish and these are gray asteroids, so I should probably make that a little bit more prominent. The way that the scanner decides which asteroid to scan next, by the way, is by flying to the nearest asteroid that is not yet scanned. And the way it determines nearest is that all ships are assigned to a depot as kind of their base depot. And so the scanner will go to the nearest unscanned asteroid in terms of nearest to the depot that's unscanned. Scanners never need to scan an asteroid more than once, and if you have multiple scanners, they can work together and they'll divide up the work, and they won't ever scan the same asteroid twice. When you combine the work of the tug, and let me have this tug reassigned to this asteroid here. Oh, actually it was already going to this one, which is closer, and also a metallic asteroid, so let me have it bring this one in closer. And after that, I'll try to remember to have the tug bring this other metallic asteroid in, and then maybe these two over here. So the scanner and the tug automation work a little bit differently. The tug just goes for the closest asteroid to itself, based on its current location, and then brings those asteroids in. And you'll see if I had a couple of tugs and I was pulling asteroids in fast, you'd see that the tug just kind of pulls the asteroid into a certain radius around the depot, and that's how it knows when to stop. And so these 4 asteroids here have all been pulled in via the tug, which is why they kind of make an arc around the depot. They're all the same distance from the depot. Alright, so where's this tug heading next? I would like it to pick up this metallic asteroid next. Again, I could just let the tug do its thing. I don't have to manage it at all if I don't want to. But if I get involved occasionally and slightly change its priorities, sometimes that can lead to a little bit more efficiency, or having the tug preferentially choose the things that I want it to choose. We're almost up to 1,200 credits. The 1,200 credits that we need for our depot. I think it's going to take 2 more trips to the market, which is this spinning disc over here. Let's check in on the scanner while we're waiting for that. Where did the scanner go? Oh, here it is. So scanner's heading over to this asteroid here. You may have noticed this sort of, I guess this isn't really cyan, or it's almost like a bluish green or something. This is the color that means that some ship has this asteroid as a target. Which is why after this scanner is done scanning this asteroid, you'll notice that it changes from this greenish color to, the color of the asteroid depending on its contents. So that's a metallic asteroid, so it changed. So I can zoom out and look for another greenish one over here, and I can determine that that's where the scanner is headed. It's headed probably over to this asteroid here, I believe. Alright, we just crossed the 1,200 credits threshold. So if I just click on some empty space or press the escape key, the panel on the right there will disappear. So now I want to build a second depot. So I click on this button, my mouse cursor changes to a depot icon, and I'd like to set it about the same distance from the market as this other depot. But I want to put it over here, or maybe even on the opposite side. So I'm going to put this depot right about here. Now we have a new depot. It doesn't have any ships assigned to it at all, which means nothing will happen until I assign some ships. So I'm going to select this miner here, one of these miners. I'll just select the one that's about to unload here. I'll move over to my other depot, and I'll reassign it. So now, if I click the depot, you'll see that this depot has one miner assigned to it. And the next time this miner comes to deposit its ore, it's going to go fly all the way over to this depot here. So I mentioned earlier that right now a good ratio is about 4 to 1. 4 miners to 1 hauler. This depot still has 5 miners, so I'm going to select another miner and reassign that to this depot as well. Now I've got 2 miners over here and 4 miners here, so this one's probably pretty good. So here I'm going to buy another miner. So now I've got 3 miners, no hauler yet, which means that the miners are just going to keep piling up ore in this depot until a hauler comes and picks it up. So I'm going to wait just a little bit longer here. In order to buy a hauler, you'll see that it costs 400 credits. So I want to save up just a little bit of money and get to 400 credits. And that's when I'll buy a hauler for this second depot here. And what that will effectively do is double the rate at which I'm taking ore to the market, which will effectively double the rate at which I'm making money. Now you might just ask, well, if double the number of haulers doubles my income, then why not just assign 2 haulers here? Well, that's a very good question. And the answer is that when the hauler is busy emptying this depot, the hauler can only take ore out of here as fast as the miners are putting it in. So this ratio of 4 miners to 1 hauler means that basically this depot isn't going to fill up fast enough to support 2 haulers. And because I already experimented with adding more miners to this depot, I also know that adding more miners to this depot isn't going to fill it up any faster, because the miners will kind of queue up behind each other and kind of get in line. So this is about as fast as this depot can get filled. So there's really no point in assigning any more haulers to it, because it's not going to be able to give ore to the hauler any faster. Like right now we'll see there's 16 tons of ore in this depot. Now you're seeing it's dropping because the hauler is picking it up and loading it onto itself. Okay, now we've got 15 tons, and we're turning around here, traveling to the market. So as soon as this hauler gets to the market, I'll have over 400 credits. And when that happens, I will be able to add another hauler to this depot, which has been building up its tonnage. It's already up to 30 tons. So this tonnage is just sitting here, unable to actually be taken to the market. So I can't make any money off of the ore that's in this depot until a hauler takes it to market. So, all right, we've got our money now. I will add a hauler. Now you'll see that the number of miners at this depot is 3, and the number of haulers is... oh, okay, this is a bug. This says tugs 1, but really it should say haulers 1. Clearly you can see that I do have 1 hauler associated with this depot, so I'm going to have to fix this label because this is backwards, actually. So this 1 should actually be on the haulers. So now the hauler has successfully filled up its hull. We see we've already got a little bit of metal content here, which is great. But you may look and you may notice that all we have here are flat gray asteroids. That's because we don't have a scanner over here scanning for fancier asteroids, which means we can't get those higher market prices. So the way we probably want to get around that is we can either buy another scanner, which I think we could afford now. I think these are $250. So we just crossed 250 credits, so that's what I'm going to do. I could also find my other scanner over here and reassign it to the other depot, but then eventually this depot would run out of scanned asteroids. So I'm just going to add a scanner over here. And I need just a little bit more money, 150 credits, in order to get another miner, so I can get this depot up to a ratio of 4 to 1. With only 3 miners, you can see that this depot had over 30 before, and the hauler is extracting ore from the depot, and it's hovering around 25. Between 25 and 30, probably. With the 4th miner, that'll even out, and the miners will be, I hope, slightly ahead of the hauler. So the hauler comes in and can just do its job as quickly as possible and get back to the market as quickly as possible. Alright, so Now we've had a couple of visits to the market. I can get another miner, so I'm going to add another miner. I've been using these buttons for the most part, but you'll notice if I hover over the add button, it says add miner, and then in brackets it says 1. It's because I could just press the 1 key. So rather than clicking the button, I could also just press the number 1 to add a miner to the selected depot. If I don't have a depot selected at all, I'll get an error message telling me to select a depot. Or if I try to buy something I don't have enough money, it'll tell me I don't have enough money. So these two depots are doing pretty well. The only thing that this depot is really lacking right now that it has the support of a scanner, a hauler, and 4 miners, it's lacking a tug that would come out here and pull these asteroids in closer. So we could save up for another tug, but I think what I want to do is actually, this tug has done a good job of bringing extra asteroids in, so I'm actually going to reassign this tug to this depot over here, and now this tug will start working for this depot instead of the original one. Now the tug, before I reassigned it, has already chosen its target, so it was already flying toward this asteroid. But if I wanted to grab something closer, I can just reassign it over here. The tug will come to a stop, turn around, and start heading for that other asteroid. Now again, you don't have to directly supervise or micromanage any of the ships, which is part of the design of the game. I don't want you to have to constantly be intervening all the time. I think it makes more sense to allow you to intervene when you want, but otherwise let the ships kind of, do their work. So the tug, tugs are big and powerful. They can move entire asteroids closer to depots, but they move pretty slow. Since it's passing this metallic asteroid, and since metallic asteroids are a little bit more valuable anyway, I'm just going to tell it to tug this asteroid over. So that way, the first asteroid that this tug bothers to bring to its depot will be a slightly more valuable one. Of course, if I had noticed that when the tug was over here, it wouldn't have to stop and turn quite so far to bring it to the depot, so that was my bad for not noticing that sooner. Excuse me. I have enough money for another tug, so I could restore the fact that this depot used to have a tug if I wanted, but I'm actually going to wait until I have 1,200 credits so that I can get a third depot, which will accelerate the rate at which I'm mining quite significantly. So I'm going to mute the microphone again. I'm also going to turn the sound effects off, so you can just kind of appreciate the soundtrack a little bit. I'm going to mute the microphone for a little bit until I get closer to 1,200 credits, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to deploy my third depot. Alright, so we've crossed the threshold of 1,200 credits. I'm going to create my third depot. So I'm going to click the Add Depot button, and then it asks me where I want to place it. I want to place it right about here. Again, I've turned the sound effects off if you're wondering why I'm not getting any sound with the confirmation messages and whatnot. And then I need to wait just a little bit longer until I can buy a miner. So one more trip to the market with one of the haulers, and I should be able to afford another miner. And then we'll get this third depot going and rocking and rolling. As you play DVMO, you'll notice, you know, it kind of starts off slow, gives you a chance to learn the interface, get familiar with the game. But it didn't take too much longer. Like, once I had my second depot, my third one came much quicker. And you can kind of build on these, build on this rate, you know, where you're getting more and more money per minute and that kind of thing. So, all right, now we actually have enough for 2 miners, so I'm going to add 2 miners here. I'm going to turn the sound effects back on. Now you can see we have 2 miners associated with this depot already. And the very next thing I'm going to buy is a hauler. So rather than going all the way to 4 miners, these miners are already collecting tonnage for this depot, so I'm going to buy a hauler next. So as soon as I hit 400 credits, you'll see me add a 3rd hauler over here. Here you can see the entire asteroid field. This is just a demo level that I use. It's kind of like the shape of a donut with a hole in the middle where the market is. This is a great test level I put together that just helps me get a feel for, you know, how many ships are an efficient number of ships, and it's a convenient sort of ring-shaped level that is easy to understand and easy to work with. I will be adding more levels and more scenarios to the game, but this is just a beta right now, so this is a great test level. And like I said, if you want to play this game, you can play it the exact same version I'm playing right now. It's free. You can play it on the web. Just check the description. The description on the video has a link to the actual webpage you go to where you play, and you can be playing this game within about 60 seconds or so. Alright, we're just about to cross over 400 credits. There we go. I'll select my depot, add a hauler. Again, it's labeled incorrectly. This one really ought to be on the haulers, not the tug, so I'll fix that in a future version, but you get what's going on here. I've already got 16 tons loaded in this depot, 17 now. So a hauler should fill up pretty quickly. And as soon as it's done, it'll start going to the market, and then I'll have 3 times as much money per minute coming in as I did when I first started. So hauler's loaded up with its 15 tons, and it'll be headed to the market soon. This hauler is unloading right now. This hauler is turning to head to the market as well. So pretty soon we're going to be sitting in a pretty good spot. I have enough for another miner here, so I want to increase the number of miners at this depot to 4. So I'm going to buy 2 more. And now I've got that 4-to-1 ratio going here. Let's go back to our original depot for a second. You can see that the miners are really starting to have to travel quite far. That's because I took their tug boat away and reassigned it to the second depot. So my next step here is to actually save up for a second tugboat, and I will reassign a tugboat to this depot again, so that this depot has, you know, more support basically. We've also got that second scanner going over here that's associated with this depot. You see the scanner is also counted here. That's why you're seeing more color in asteroids around this depot than you did before. So this depot could use a scanner, but I think it's more important right now for me to get a tug first, so I'm going to wait until I reach that 850 credits level. Turn the sound effects off for a minute. So some future enhancements, some things to look forward to in an upcoming thing. I added this right-hand panel so I could get statistics out of here, partly for debugging, but also it helps players understand what's going on in detail. You know, you can click on individual ships or depots and see what's going on there. You can click on asteroids and to see what the mineral content is. And what I'd like to do is make the market here in the center selectable so that when you click on the market, you can get a history of all the ore that you've delivered to market, all the money you've brought in, as well as all the money you've spent on additional ships and that sort of thing. So I'd like to have kind of an economic report, a breakdown of how all the money and everything is going. Getting pretty close to 850 now. We're just under 200 credits away, so this hauler will get us pretty close, but then the second hauler coming in here will give us enough credits. We'll be over the 850 mark, so I'm going to select my original depot here, and as soon as this number creeps up to 850, I'm going to add another tug. Here it is. I've turned the sound effects off if you're wondering why you're not hearing that confirmation sound. And then the thing I think is missing on this depot here is the scanner. So we got a lot of gray asteroids, not a lot of scanned asteroids. Now I could buy another scanner, but the scanner that's been working on this original depot has been working long enough now that it's scanned almost everything that's within reasonable reach. So I'm going to try to track down this scanner. Oh, here it is. And I'm just simply going to reassign it to this depot over here. And what that'll do is the scanner was already en route to this asteroid here, which is fine. I'm just going to let it go. But as soon as it's done scanning this asteroid, it's going to start preferring to scan asteroids that are closer to this depot that I just reassigned it to. So we just need to wait for the scanner to totally align with the asteroid here and finish its scanning. Looks like it just switched to scanning, so I think this takes about 7 seconds. And when the scanning's done, there it goes. Now it's going to fly a totally different direction. And since I reassigned it to this other depot here, you'll see it's going to fly quite a distance way over here to scan something. And my guess is it's heading to this this asteroid probably right here. We almost have enough for another tug. We could add another tug here. At some point, you know, miners consume all of the asteroids around a depot sufficiently that it might actually start to make sense to abandon this depot because it's kind of done all of its useful work at this point. I've considered maybe adding a feature where the tugboat could also tow a depot to a new location. So right now that's not implemented. I'd be curious if you want to leave a comment whether you think that'd be interesting or useful or not. But if the tugboats had the ability to move the depots, then what I could do is I could have the tugboat move this depot, say, to here. And without that, the only other option I really have right now is to wait until these miners have consumed pretty much all these asteroids. And when they have, I just reassign these miners to some other depot. I wait for the hauler to empty out this depot and so that there's no ore left, and then I just sell the depot for cash. Which is probably what I'm going to do in this case. I think I also want to... I'm going to wait for this tug to bring this asteroid in, but I think I also want to instruct this tug to start pulling in asteroids over here, because that way that'll kind of finish clearing out this section. And when that's done, that's when I'll start thinking about maybe selling this depot or having the tug pull in this group of asteroids and maybe some of these. But I've already got over 1,200 credits. I'm about to add my 4th depot here. I think it's going to be a more efficient use of time to focus on this more densely populated asteroid field. So let's go to add another depot. We're going to put it, about the same distance as all the other depots. Put it over here. I've got a little bit of money. I'm going to add 1 miner. I'll zoom in here. And I've already got enough haulers going to the market so that it shouldn't be very long until I have enough for a 4th hauler. So I'll buy a 4th hauler here in just a little bit. I'm not going to bother adding a 2nd or 3rd or 4th miner just yet. You can see this hauler just came into the market, and so followed by this one here. So between these two, I should gain just over 300 credits, which will be enough for a hauler for this 4th depot. Oh, you'll also notice I mentioned that depots can only have so many miners docked at them at one time. The market works the same way. These haulers get pretty close, but the market can only have 1 hauler docked with it, unloading its cargo at any time. This sort of graphical glitch where the one that's docked is rendered on top of the one that's about to leave is... I'll have to fix that at some point, but for now it is what it is. Not a big deal. So I'm going to add my hauler for this depot here. I still have a little money left over, so I'll add another miner. And I want to get this one up to that same ratio of 4:1. And pretty soon I will have a total of 4 times, or approximately 4 times the rate of income that I had when I first started playing this level, which is pretty good. This is getting fast enough. The income is coming in fast enough now that I can buy a new depot pretty regularly and expand my operations pretty regularly. Alright, I've got 184 credits, so I'm going to buy another miner. And here comes yet another hauler, so I should have money for another miner. There we go. So now I've got the 4:1 ratio going for this depot. I want to just go back and check all my depots and make sure they're all at that 4:1 ratio. They should be. But I just like to double check these things, make sure everything's running correctly. Yeah, that looks good. This depot could use a scanner because most of these asteroids are unscanned. So that's the next thing I'll buy. That's going to cost 250 credits, so as soon as this hauler starts to unload its cargo, I should have enough money to buy a scanner for this depot here. 250, there we go. That added this little scanner here. And it's going to start going around and scanning for new asteroids. I just noticed this scanner, which is associated, I think, with this depot, if I'm not mistaken. It started to... it's starting to... Well, it's starting to scan kind of an overlapping area that this scanner is, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, they kind of split up the work, so they're not going to scan the same asteroid twice or anything. And it's fine. The scanner picks the closest unscanned asteroid to the depot it's assigned to, so if this scanner is already making a wide sweeping arc this far out, there's no problem here. Let's just let both of the scanners keep doing their thing. This scanner is still working at this depot. It's swept out a pretty good area here. This depot could really use a tug, I think. Let's see. Let's reassign this tug to grab these asteroids because it's not super efficient for the tug to be pulling in these asteroids because this depot over here is going to start eating away at those. So it's probably better to have this tug grab the few remaining asteroids over here, bring them closer into this depot. Oh, look at this. Another rare asteroid here. It's got mostly rock, but some rare minerals that are worth a little bit more. If I remember correctly, the there's about something like a 10% chance, or a 1 in 10 chance, something like that, that you'll get a metallic asteroid, and I think there's about a 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000 chance. It's probably, actually maybe it's just 1 in 100. So maybe that's why there's only been a couple of rare asteroids. But I can't remember what the ratios are. But rare elements obviously appear less often than metallic, which appear less often than rocky asteroids. We almost have enough money for another depot, which I think would be prudent. We're getting to the point where our income's growing pretty fast. I'm going to put another depot here, in kind of the middle of this field here. This scanner and the scanner that's working at this depot will start to scan these asteroids, so we won't need to add another scanner for this depot. So now we have enough money. I'm going to put it kind of right in the middle of this area here. Should have enough money for a miner. There we go. I'll zoom in so you can see what's happening. I'm going to wait till I get to 400. I'll buy a hauler for this depot, and then I'll add my 3 more miners. Turn the sound effects back on for you. You see that income's coming in pretty quick now, so it was only a few seconds ago I mentioned waiting until I get to 400, and I'm almost there already. Got these 2 haulers coming to the market here, so between these 2 we'll definitely have enough for that hauler. And maybe enough for a miner too. There's our 400, so we'll add our hauler. And there's another, yep. This hauler is about to dock here, so it'll give me enough money to buy some additional, or at least 1 additional miner. And we got 2 more haulers coming in here, so that'll be good. So pretty soon, I'm going to be limited on the number of haulers that can come into this station. So I mentioned the ratio of 4-to-1 miners to haulers for depots. I think the ratio for the market is probably somewhat similar. Maybe it's 6-to-1. You know, 1 market to 6 haulers or something like that. But you'll notice that I'll start to see a backup at the market as well, because only so many ships can dock. Got a little bit more money, so let's get the miners at this depot up to 4. And we got that 4-to-1 ratio. Let's check in on our original depot. This tug has pulled some of these asteroids in, which is great. It's kind of cleared this out and brought these asteroids closer in, so that the miners that are still working at this depot can be more efficient and pull more tonnage into this depot faster. We're now close to an hour. The game's going well. We're emptying out these asteroid fields pretty well. It's still going to be quite a while until we're done. The last video I did crashed. The game crashed at, I think, 1 hour and 2 minutes. It didn't have anything to do with the amount of time. By the way, it was just that I hit a bug that I'd only started to run into about an hour in. And it was, on that other video, it was because I was reaching the point where I was running out of asteroids, and there weren't too many other things for the tugs and the miners to do. I think that I fixed that bug, and I don't think the game's going to crash this time, but it's still a beta, so it's okay. It's okay if it is. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually fast forward a bit, so I'm going to skip over a bunch of stuff. I'm going to just let this operation kind of go. We've got 5 depots, a total of 20 miners, 5 haulers, doing their thing. I'm going to add a tug to... Oh, there's already a tug at this depot. I'm going to add a tug to this depot, I think. And I'm actually going to reassign this tug, because it's starting to encroach on this other depot's area, so I'm going to tell it to go over here instead. So what it'll do is this tug will focus on this area instead. got enough money, I'm going to add a tug to this depot so we can keep these miners efficient. You notice that our original depot, the miners are having to go a little further, so there's kind of two options here. I could either kind of close down this depot and stop bringing asteroids in, or I could add a second tug to bring asteroids in faster, because now the tugs also have to travel further to bring asteroids in. Or I could just leave it as is, which is what I'm going to do for this video. Alright, this is going to take a little while longer to keep going. The operation's running pretty good, pretty well right now. So I'm going to go step away from my computer for a while and just let the miners and haulers and everybody just do their thing. And then when I come back, you'll notice that the game clock has jumped forward, and I'll hopefully, if the game doesn't crash, I'll be able to show you the end screen. Alright, so about 20 minutes has gone by, and I've just let things run. I've just over 10,000 credits here. Let's take a look at our operations. So this tug I can see is still pulling things in. That's great. I can let that go for a few more minutes. These scanners are just sitting out here with nothing to do. My guess would be that they scanned a couple of asteroids over here and the tug pulled them in closer. These scanners don't have anything else to do, so I can just leave them here, or I could sell them. I think I'll sell them. So the way you sell something is you click on it and you press the X key for like delete. X. I'll sell this other one as well. I think this depot is pretty much done. I mean, there's a couple of asteroids it's coming to here, maybe just the one. And the miners are having to travel pretty far. So I'm going to have this be the last thing that this tug brings over, and I'm going to reassign this tug to some other place that might need it. This depot here. So I'm going to reassign the tug over here, and I'm going to tell the tug to start pulling in this asteroid. So this tug way over here is going to pull in the remaining asteroids for this depot, and that'll be fine. This depot's got one tug working for it. I'm going to ask it to come over here. Okay. I thought I should be able to reassign this tug, but maybe because it already has the asteroid in it, it's going to make me wait, which is fine. Yeah, so when this no longer has an asteroid in its grasp, I will reassign it to this asteroid over here, and hopefully that'll work. And hopefully it's not a bug. So, we'll see. This tug looks like it's probably going to pull this asteroid in. So I'm going to go back to this one. It's almost there. Okay. There we go. And reassign to that asteroid over here. There's just this one lonely little asteroid left over here that occasionally gets worked by some miner, but I think actually I'm going to have it. I'm going to have this tug reassigned to this asteroid and pull this one in so that the miner isn't going all the way over here to do that. This depot has quite a few asteroids around it. I don't know that it needs a ton more tugboat support. I don't know. We can leave this tug over here. Let's add another tug to this depot. And I'll assign it to this asteroid here. So it'll start clearing this stuff up, and then this tugboat hopefully will also be working over here and cleaning out this area. This depot, these these miners are traveling pretty far as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sell these ships. So this, you can see that this ship is empty. There's no tonnage in it, so I'm going to sell that. Same with this one, 0. This one has 1 ton of ore, so I'm going to wait until it unloads it onto this depot. And then now it's empty, so I'm going to sell it. And now I'm going to stop the ship. I'm going to select the ship. I'm going to hit the tilde key or the backtick key, which is right above the tab key. You'll notice it's flashing red. So whether I have it selected, if I have it selected, it'll flash blue and red, and if I don't have it selected, it'll flash red and like the unselected color. This depot should now be empty. It is. And this is the last miner, or sorry, the last hauler that's pulling the last bit of ore from this depot to market. So I don't want this this miner to put this one ton of ore into this depot because this depot is nice and empty. So I'm just going to sell the depot, and you'll see that that miner automatically got reassigned. So it's going to take its ore over here, but I've already got the, actually better than 4 to 1, I have a 5 to 1 ratio here. So I'm going to sell this ship, and now this depot is back to a 4 to 1 ratio, 4 miners to 1 hauler, and that's pretty good. So I got rid of one of my depots, I don't need that anymore. The hauler that was assigned to that depot probably got reassigned somewhere else. Yeah, it looks like it got reassigned here. So I'm going to wait for this hauler to empty its cargo, I think. So it's emptying its tonnage into the market. And when this reaches 0, it's going to turn around and head back to this depot on the bottom right. But I don't need this hauler anymore because this depot already has a hauler associated with it, so I'm going to sell this one. Now you see I'm down to 16 total miners. I still have a scanner somewhere, but there's no point in keeping it because the scanners, they've already scanned every asteroid. We've got 4 haulers, 4 depots, 4 tugs. This depot is starting to get really sad. I'm going to select this hauler and stop it as well. That just stops it from finishing what it was doing. I'm going to stop that miner. I'm going to stop this miner. I'm going to stop this miner. So there's just not that much for this depot to do anymore. Stop this miner as well. Okay, so this depot is empty. This hauler has 14 tons, so it just needs 1 more. So I'm going to reassign... ooh, actually, it's probably... yeah, okay. So this miner is going to pull 1 more ton and put it into this depot. You see I have all these stopped ships here. That's going to load the last ton onto this hauler, I think. Oh, this has just a little bit more to go. You can't see it because it's probably like a rounding error, but this hauler has very close to 15, but not exactly technically 15. There we go. Now it's got exactly 15. I'm going to stop this miner. I don't need this miner anymore. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to sell this one. I'm just selecting them and double checking that the tonnage is 0 so that I don't accidentally sell a ship that has ore on it. And then I'll select this miner and restart it. So what it's going to do is continue mining these last 2 or 3 asteroids here. And I think that'll be fine. So there's 10, 9, and 10. So there's, what, 29 tons left on 3 asteroids that are stacked on top of each other here. Plus this this asteroid that this other tug just brought in. So I'm going to reassign this tug over here. Tell it to restart. Select this tug and tell it to restart. So these two tugs are going to pull in these last two asteroids over here. And that'll be fine. Here's my scanner. I don't need anymore. I'll sell that. Let's see what else. Not much else going on over here anymore. We're going to fill up one more hauler's worth of ore for the market from this depot. And then we'll call this one done as well. So it's going to take just a little bit of time. I think it might be best to move the depot like over here so it's nice and close. So I'm going to build another depot. I'm going to put it way up here. I'm going to stop this miner and reassign it. Let's see, hold on. Stop this miner. Stop this miner. Tell it to go to this depot instead. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's no more miners associated with this depot. So now what to do? What do? There's only 10 tons on this hauler, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to sell this depot because it's empty. We're not going to lose anything on it. And we're going to say, please go over to this depot instead. And so now this hauler just got transferred to working over here, basically. I'm going to reassign this tug to this depot over here. And I'm going to shut down this depot over here, which doesn't really have anything going on anymore. Oh, hold on. This tug is confused. I'm going to tell it to bring this asteroid over here. Just a little bit. It got really confused and it brought that asteroid in to this much closer to this depot, which it shouldn't have done. So I'm going to wait until it's a little bit of ways from this depot and then tell it to turn around. It's coming to a stop. It's going to turn around and it should drop that asteroid somewhere around here, I think. I'm going to go check on something else. We'll come back to this in a second. This depot's doing well. I don't need this tug anymore. This tug can pull this one last asteroid over and that'll be fine too. So I'm going to tell it to grab that asteroid and bring it over to there. Okay. Great, this tug did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now I want it to bring this asteroid also over to here. So I don't need this miner anymore, nor this one, nor this one. This one still has, it's coming back to the depot, so it has 1 ton to unload. Now it's empty. Sell that. This hauler has 12 tons. So I'm going to... I should really tell it to go to the market, but I don't have the ability to do that yet. Like, the game won't do that just yet. So I'm going to reassign it to this depot. So it'll do one more trip from this depot over here, and then it'll be done. This is the last thing I want this tug to do. Let's bring this last asteroid over. Oh, actually, I'll have it bring this one over as well. Let's see, where are we at here? This tug is going to bring these last 2 asteroids over. That's looking good. This tug is bringing this one over. That's good. We could actually use more miners here because there's enough asteroid work to... There's enough mining work to do to clear these out. Okay, so we're kind of winding down here, which is good. I think there are two... This says 2 tugs, but it's mislabeled, like I pointed out earlier, and it's actually 2 haulers, so... As soon as this hauler is done here, I'm going to sell it. So this will be the last trip that this hauler makes to the market. And as soon as it's empty, I will sell it. So. Haulers load 2 tons per second, so this will be empty shortly. And just as soon as that hits 0, I will hit X, and I sold my hauler. Alright. There's nothing else for this tug to do that would be useful, so I'm going to sell this tug. Don't need it doing anything anymore. This depot's empty. I'm going to sell that. This is looking good. Wait, stop! Actually, go ahead and finish what you're doing, but... What's happening here is, this tug is actually stealing asteroids from this depot because it ran out of other things to do. So I'm going to leave it alone now. That's the last thing I want that tug to do. So now this tug has to bring over this asteroid, and that might be it. That might be the last thing I have that thing do. This is the last bit of work for this depot. Got 4 miners. We just got rid of one of those last asteroids. Why is that? Wow. This is a miner from a completely different depot or something, I guess. Oh, I know what happened here. So that asteroid didn't have much ore left in it, which is why it got a tiny amount, very, very tiny amount. It doesn't even register here, so it's going to get a ton of ore from here, and then it'll fly back to its depot. So this... Okay, look at this. Look at how far this miner's going. It doesn't have to fly that far. It's ridiculous. If the miners are flying that far, there's a problem. So this miner now has a ton of ore on it. I'm going to wait for that to get back to the depot, and then I'll sell it. I think I'm going to stop that tug so it doesn't do anything else. I don't think it has anything else useful to do, really. Maybe if it wanted to grab this asteroid and bring it in just a little bit closer, that might be helpful. Alright. I don't want that miner flying all the way over there to do that anymore, so... Oh, nor this one. So, there you go. And that one, it says it has 1 ton of ore, but honestly it has... The reason it's flying away is because it has ever so slightly less than 1 ton of ore. So it's going to grab just a little bit more ore from this asteroid, and then it'll fly all the way back here. Or actually, I could just tell it to fly here. So it'll grab just a little bit more ore from here. It'll bring it to this depot, and then I won't need this miner anymore either. You can see this miner's flying too far. Much further than it needs to mine stuff, so that one needs to go soon. This depot is empty because all 4 tons are on this hauler already, so I'm going to sell this depot. That's going to reassign that hauler to another depot. I would like for this tug to just move these asteroids just a little closer, but otherwise don't do anything. This miner just happened to get in line after this one did, so it's waiting on this miner, which is a little bit weird. Alright. That one's done. I don't need that miner anymore. Once this one unloads, it's done. I don't need that one anymore. So this miner can keep working on this asteroid, and this miner can work on this one until it's done. Okay, I'm going to zoom all the way out. there's not much left here. I'm almost at the end of the game. I'm 1 hour, 37 minutes, 20 seconds in. I grab this tug and... oh, I see. It's just moving that asteroid for me. And it's just going to move it in just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And that's fine. I'm going to just sell that tug because I don't really need it to move these other 2 asteroids. I'm just going to let them be. There's nothing else to do at the top of the screen. These 2 miners can keep doing their thing for a little while. There's 1 hauler assigned here. That's fine. I don't need this hauler anymore. I just need 1 hauler on this depot on the left, and 1 hauler on the depot on the right, and that's it. So we're almost done. There's not too much more to do. There's 4 asteroids left near this depot, and there, one of these is about to disappear. There's only 2 asteroids left at this depot. Once those are done, it's done. So we're getting really close to the end of the game here. So while we're waiting, if you find this game interesting, you can actually play this version right now. It's online for free. Check the description in this video. If you watch this far, hey, try the game out, you know? Share it with a friend, share it with somebody you think might enjoy it. I don't want this miner going all the way over here. Check the description of this video for a link to the game. It will take you directly to this exact version of the game. You can play it yourself. You can contact me, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Ask for features, suggest things, whatever you want to do. But the game right now is free. Maybe I'll add something I charge for in the future. I honestly don't know. If I do, I don't even know what that thing would be right now, so I don't have any specific plans. But the game is free to play. This asteroid is very, very, very close to being done. This is the last thing that this miner is going to do here. It's going to consume the rest of that asteroid, and then it's going to have to fly somewhere else to get more. Way over here. This depot has a couple tons in it, so I'm going to let this hauler pick up the last 2 tons on that depot. And then we'll sell it. And this is it. We're very close to the end of the game. I don't need this miner anymore. I don't need this miner anymore. I just need 2 miners to work these last 2 asteroids. And let's see. This depot's empty now, so we can sell that depot. This hauler just has 2 tons of ore left. If I zoom all the way out, you can see this is it. We're almost to the end of the game. But like I was saying, if you like this game, you find it interesting, you know, share it around. Subscribe to the channel or give it a thumbs up. Anything that you do helps. Spreading the word helps. The game is free. Check the description for a link. It'll take you directly to this exact version of the game. You can play forever. And of course there will be newer versions with more features and whatnot, but I keep all the old versions online, at least for now, so that I can play test, you know, and compare and contrast one version to another. If, for example, like I introduce a bug in one version and it's fixed in a different version, I can kind of go back and forth easily. But yeah, check that out. Check the description for the link, and you can play this game right now in your browser. We're almost done here. There's only 5 tons of ore left in this asteroid. And this is the last asteroid, so once that's done, assuming I don't have any game-breaking bugs at this point, we should see the game over screen, which gives us our final score, which will be great. So, 3 more tons, 3, 2, 1, and we're done. Looks like this ore, or this depot, sorry, this hauler has 10 tons on it, and there's only 3 tons left. 1 ton in that miner, and 2 tons left in this in the asteroid. This hauler is empty, so I can sell it. I don't need it. It's got these 3 ships left, and that's all. And there it is. Game over. 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 42 seconds. Or mined. Well, that's really, really wrong. Okay, so that's a bug. The total. This should actually be the total tons of ore that I mined. So I need to fix that. This is also a bug. This is actually supposed to say 25,228, and then this is the fractional part, 0.479557. But this should just be rounded to a single integer, and the commas are supposed to be in the right place, so this is a bug. But it's supposed to say 25,228, I believe. I had 19 tons of unsold ore, either on a ship or in the depot or something. My remaining equipment value, if I were to sell my remaining ships and depot, would be 1,235 credits. So what you're supposed to do, if this says 25,228, you add that number, the unsold ore value, and the equipment value. So these 3 numbers, and it gives you your points. So if the labeling for this was correct, you would see that these 3 numbers would actually add up to our points, which is 26,482. And then points per minute, this is kind of a measurement of efficiency. So you can play kind of 3 ways. You can play the cheapest way possible, where you don't care how long it takes to mine all the ore, but you just spend as little as possible. So that would be a strategy where you're trying to maximize this final cash number. That's kind of the boring way to play, because honestly, when you start the game, you have 1 miner and 1 hauler, and you could just let the game run and never buy anything, and it would probably run for 4 hours or something, maybe longer. But when it was done, you would have the maximum cash, which is okay, that's fine. The second way to play is to play as fast as you can. Try to mine all the ore as quickly as possible. And when you do that, you'll have to spend a lot of money on ships and whatnot. And so you won't be left with much cash, but your game time will be low. The other way to play, and the reason I have this points per minute in here, is that the points per minute is kind of an efficiency thing. It's a balance between buying a lot of stuff and mining as quickly as possible versus trying to be somewhat economically efficient. So this points per minute is kind of how efficiently you play. The higher the number, the better. So, like I said, check the description for a link to this exact version of the game. Since it will be this exact version, never changing, you will have this bug when you play this as well, which is kind of funny. So I'll fix this in a future version. But if you watched the video this far, thank you very much. This is super cool. I've been enjoying doing this. I've been working on this game now, I think, for 4 weeks as of tomorrow. So right around a month. I have some more plans for some additional things they add to the game. I've been talking to a couple people about upgrading the graphics and getting better sprites and that kind of thing. Maybe a few extra sound effects and maybe some slightly better music or something like that. But this is a deep void mining operation, and once you're done looking at your game over screen, you can click play again and start all over. So thanks for watching. Again, I'm Jeff. This is Deep Void Mining Operation, DVMO, and thanks for watching. Bye.